Good morning, everybody. My name is Aarti, and like I promised, I'm back with the second book reading session of the book club. So, like I said yesterday, the book that I'm going to be reading from is called The Essential Writings of Dr. Edward Bach. I'm going to tell you what it says behind first. Written in Dr. Edward Bach's own words, this book contains two short works that are essential reading for anyone interested in the Bach flower remedies. The 12 Healers introduces Dr. Bach's world-renowned remedies, which provide a system for healing the mental and spiritual anguish at the root of ill health and unhappiness. The 38 remedies are grouped in 7 helpful categories, and advice is given on the types of personality most likely to benefit from each remedy. In Heal Thyself, Dr. Bach explains the philosophy that underpins any practical work with the remedies. He looks at the real cause and cure of disease and gives practical as well as spiritual guidance on how we can all help to heal ourselves. And like I told you yesterday, I have literally studied this book while I was doing my level 3 and I've really enjoyed it. I'm going to be reading you something from the Heal Thyself bit. And this is where the book begins. It says, Heal Thyself, an explanation of the real cause and cure of disease. He said this book is dedicated to all who suffer or who are in distress. Dr. Bach is well known for his genuine mix of humble spirituality and down-to-earth understanding, and his simple philosophy has been a source of great inspiration and comfort to many people. Heal Thyself has aroused much interest, which in turn has prompted certain questions about particular aspects of the book. In the final paragraph, we are urged to unite with that great band of the White Brotherhood. Some people have expressed concern that this was a racist remark. We would like to make it absolutely clear that the use of the term had nothing whatsoever to do with skin color or race or religion. In fact, Dr. Bach found every form of racism abhorrent. Quite simply, he used the word white to mean something light, bright, clean, and fresh in origin, and he regarded everyone of like mind as being of a common band or brotherhood. Like in the community of healers, we often say white light, or people that belong to white light, or white people, or white witches. Does not have anything to do with any occult, any witchcraft, any racism, and which is why I thought it was important to read this bit, because even for those who have read a part of the book or have read the book may have read this, and I did not want any misunderstandings. Chapter 1. It is not the object of this book to suggest that the art of healing is unnecessary. Far be from it any such intention, but it is humbly hoped that it will be a guide to those who suffer to seek within themselves the real origin of their maladies, so that they may assist themselves in their own healing. Moreover, it is hoped that it may stimulate those, both in the medical profession, excuse it, it's my tiny little baby. Moreover, it is hoped that it may stimulate those, both in the medical profession and in religious orders, who have the welfare of humanity at heart, to redouble their efforts in seeking the relief of human suffering, and so hasten that day when the victory over disease will be complete. And it's so interesting that I'm reading something like this in the times of COVID-19. The main reason for the failure of modern medical science is that it is dealing with results and not causes. For many centuries, the real nature of disease has been masked by materialism, and thus disease itself has been given every opportunity of extending its ravages, since it has not been attacked at its origin. The situation is like to an enemy strongly fortified in the hills, continually waging guerrilla warfare in the country around, while the people, ignoring the fortified garrison, content themselves with repairing the damaged houses and burying the dead, which are the result of the raids of the marauders. So generally speaking, it is the situation in medicine today. Nothing more than the patching up of those attacked and the burying of those who are slain, without a thought being given to the real stronghold. Disease will never be cured or eradicated by present materialistic methods for the simple reason that disease in its origin is not material. What we know as disease is an ultimate result produced in the body, the end product of deep and long acting forces, and even if material treatment alone is apparently successful, this is nothing more than a temporary relief unless the real cause has been removed. The modern trend of medical science, by misinterpreting the true nature of disease and concentrating it in materialistic terms in the physical body, has enormously increased its power. Firstly, by distracting the thoughts of people from its true origin and hence from the effective method of attack, and secondly, by localizing it in the body, thus obscuring true hope of recovery and raising a mighty disease complex of fear which never should have existed. Disease is, in a sense, the result of conflict between soul and mind and will never be eradicated except by spiritual and mental effort. Such efforts, if properly made with understanding, as we shall see later, can cure and prevent disease by removing those basic factors which are its primary cause. No effort directed to the body alone can do more than superficially repair damage, and in this there is no cure, since the cause is still operative and may at any moment again demonstrate its presence in another form. In fact, in many cases, apparent recovery is harmful since it hides from the patient the true cause of its trouble, and in the satisfaction of apparently renewed health, the real factor, being unnoticed, may gain its strength. Contrast these cases with that of the patient who knows or who is by some wise physician instructed in the nature of the adverse spiritual or mental forces at work, the result of which has precipitated what we call disease in the physical body. If that patient directly attempts to neutralize those forces, health improves as soon as this is successfully begun, and when it is completed, the disease will disappear. This is true healing by attacking the stronghold, the very base of the cause of suffering. One of the exceptions to materialistic methods in modern science is that of the great Dr. Hahnemann, the founder of homeopathy, who, with his realization of the beneficent love of the Creator and of the divinity which resides within man, by studying the mental attitude of his patients towards life, environment, and their respective diseases, sought to find in the herbs of the field and in the realms of nature the remedy which would not only heal their bodies but would at the same time uplift their mental outlook. May his science be extended and developed by those true physicians who have the love of humanity at heart. Well, while I'm reading this, I have lots and lots of thoughts going on in my mind. The first, I hope that these words are not misinterpreted by a lot of onlookers, especially because we are fighting the times of COVID-19 right now. Well, while Dr. Bach wrote all of this back in the 1930s, and in spite of being from the medical fraternity, he wrote so much about the mind and the heart and the soul and not so much about the physical body. Well, let me tell you that in this book, nowhere is he condemning medical science, or nowhere is he saying that medical treatment is not of any use, or nowhere is he saying that when he talks about true cause, he's not saying things like viruses and bacteria and parasites do not exist. And like I said, I'm again reiterating, the reason I'm saying this is because I don't want people to misinterpret this video or this book. It definitely does not hold true for the times of COVID and the virus that we're fighting. But what he clearly meant was that rather than just looking at symptoms, symptoms at your physical body, like cold or cough or aches and pains and headaches or backaches, rather than just looking at these physical symptoms and treating them with medical materials like medicines or treatments, it is more important to go deeper inside to find out what is it that your body is trying to scream out loud by these aches and pains that you're experiencing. Yeah, a lot of diseases are not just skin deep. They're not just limited to the physical body. It is much deeper, and it really boils down to how you are feeling as an individual, as a person. And if at all you are feeling good, then a lot of aches and pains also try and take care of themselves. Your body, like I always say, has an innate mechanism to heal itself. Yeah, which is why it's called Heal Thyself. Your body has the mechanism, has the intelligence, has the stamina, has the ability, has the capacity to take care of a lot of unwanted things within itself if you provide it with the right environment, right situations, right conditions. And those conditions really begin at the mind and soul level. So please do not mistake this and do not misinterpret it as distracting you away from the treatments. If at all there are people suffering from corona, it's got nothing to do with the virus that we're dealing with today. It was an alarming voice inside me which was screaming out and saying, please give out that message, because a lot of people are going to troll you or then take it the wrong way. So it is not meant. To understand the nature of disease, certain fundamental truths have to be acknowledged. The first of these is that man has a soul, which is his real self, a divine, mighty being, a son of the creator of all things, of which the body, although the earthly temple of that soul, is but the minutest reflection. That our soul, our divinity who resides in and around us, lays down for us our lives as he wishes them to be ordered, and so far as we will allow, ever guides, protects, and encourages us, watchful and beneficent to lead us always for our utmost advantage. That he, our higher self, being a spark of the Almighty, is thereby invincible and immortal. The second principle is that we, as we know ourselves in this world, our personality is down here for the purpose of gaining all the knowledge and experience which can be obtained through earthly existence, of developing virtues which we lack, and of wiping out all that is wrong within us, thus advancing towards the perfection of our natures. The soul knows what environment and what circumstances will be best enable us to do this, and hence he places us in that branch of life most suited for that object. Thirdly, we must realize that the short passage on this earth, which we know as life, is but a moment in the course of our evolution, as one day at school is to a life, and although we can for the present only see and comprehend that one day, our intuition tells us that birth was infinitely far from our beginning and death infinitely far from our ending. Our souls, which are really we, are immortal, and the bodies of which we are conscious are temporary, merely as horses we ride to go to a journey, or instruments we use to do a piece of work. Then follows a fourth great principle, that so long as our souls and our personalities are in harmony, all is joy and peace, happiness and health. It is when our personalities are led astray from the path laid down by the soul, either by our own worldly desires or by the persuasion of others, that a conflict arises. This conflict is the root cause of disease and unhappiness. No matter what our work in the world, boot black or monarch, landlord or peasant, rich or poor, so long as we do that particular work according to the dictates of the soul, all is well, and we can further rest assured that in whatever station of life we are placed, princely or low, it contains the lessons and experiences necessary at the moment for our evolution, and gives us the best advantage for the development of ourselves. Isn't that actually true? When we are guided by our souls and we do what we love to do, we do what we want to do, everything is really nice, everything's happy, everything's peaceful, and even then it doesn't mean that we don't face challenges. We do face challenges, we do face hardships, but when you have chosen that path for yourself, you are strong enough to face those hardships, and you do take it in your stride. And when you do come out strength and powerful, I think everything is absolutely okay. You turn back, you look back at your journey, and you're very happy about it. But if you're following something which is dictated by someone else, no matter what, inside, internally, you're always sad about it. You're always unhappy about it. And that is where the conflict begins. that is where that peace is lost. The next great principle is the understanding of the unity of all things, that the creator of all things is love, and that everything of which we are conscious is in all its infinite number of forms a manifestation of that love, whether it be a planet or a pebble, a star or a dewdrop, man or the lowliest form of life. It may be possible to get a glimpse of this conception by thinking of our Creator as a great blazing sun of beneficence and love, and from the center an infinite number of beams radiate in every direction, and that we and all of which we are conscious are particles at the end of those beams, sent out to gain experience and knowledge, but ultimately to return to the great center. And though to us each ray may appear separate and distinct, it is in reality part of the great central sun. Separation is impossible, for as soon as a beam of light is cut off from its source, it ceases to exist. Thus, we may comprehend a little of the impossibility of separateness, as although each ray may have its individuality, it is nevertheless part of the great central creative power. Thus, any action against ourselves or against another affects the whole, because by causing imperfection in a part, it reflects on the whole, every particle of which must ultimately become perfect. It talks so much about oneness, isn't it? So we see there are two great possible fundamental errors: disassociation between our souls and our personalities, and cruelty or wrong to others, for this is a sin against unity. Either of these brings conflicts which leads to disease. An understanding of where we are making an error, which is so often not realized by us, and an earnest endeavor to correct the fault will lead not only to a life of joy and peace, but also to health. Disease is in itself beneficent and has for its object the bringing back of the personality to the divine will of the soul, and thus we can see that it is both preventable and avoidable, since if we could only realize for ourselves the mistakes we are making and correct these by spiritual and mental means, there could be no need for the severe lessons of suffering. Every opportunity is given us by the divine power to mend our ways before, as a last resort, pain and suffering have to be applied. It may not be the errors of this life, this day at school, which we are combating, and although we in our physical minds may not be conscious of the reason of our suffering, which may to us appear cruel and without reason, yet our souls, which are ourselves, know the full purpose and are guiding us to our best advantage. Nevertheless, understanding and correction of our errors would shorten our illness and bring us back to health. Knowledge of the soul's purpose in that knowledge means the relief of earthly suffering and distress, and leaves us free to develop a revolution in joy and happiness. There are two great errors. First, to fail to honor and obey the dictates of our souls, and second, to act against unity. On account of the former, be ever reluctant to judge others, because what is right for one is wrong for others. So true. The merchant whose work is to build up a big trade, not only to his advantage, but also to that of all those whom he may employ, thereby gaining knowledge of efficiency and control, and developing the virtues associated with each, must of necessity use different qualities and different virtues from those of a nurse, sacrificing her life in the care of the sick, and yet both, if obeying the dictates of their souls, are rightly learning those qualities necessary for their evolution. It is obeying commands of our soul, a higher self, which we learn through conscience, instinct, and intuition that matters. Thus we see that by its very principles and its very essence, disease is both preventable and curable, and it is the work of spiritual healers and physicians to give, in addition to material remedies, the knowledge to the suffering of the error of their lives, and of the manner in which these errors can be eradicated, and so to lead the sick back to health and joy. Well, it's so true. When I do my consultations and I'm meeting so many people, a lot of people come to me saying they've got aches and pains and discomfort, and which is accompanied by a lot of emotional and mental distress. And as Bach practitioners, our fundamental role is not to look at the physical discomfort, but to look at the emotional and mental disturbance. And we start our consultation by giving importance to that. We take down information and take down notes about how they are feeling mentally and emotionally. And while their story unfolds, there are so many people who turn around and say that, while I was talking to you, while I was telling you what my problem is, there's so many lessons that I'm learning. There's so many things that I'm saying which are like revelations for myself. And that holds true even for me as a practitioner. While I'm listening to them, there are so many life lessons that I actually get from them, which may be helpful to a certain situation in my life, which may be helpful to a certain, um, you know, circumstances or a certain episode that's going on in my life currently. And I do have soul lessons to take from them. And even then, when we then come down to remedy selection and give certain remedies for what's happening with them, when they start taking those remedies, a beautiful result of the remedies, like we say, the retrospective quality, it helps you go inwards. As humans, we're always so superficial. We're always looking at the topmost layer. Oh, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling bad, I'm feeling angry, this one did this to me, or someone wronged me, or someone hurt me. All of this is very superficial. When we turn inwards and we start really addressing what is it that's hurting me, what is it that's affecting me, that's when you start getting answers. That's when you actually start finding out what is the truth. And the remedies do that. I mean, I'm not preaching or not promoting the remedies. If you're listening to me, obviously you're a remedy fan, and which is why you're here, which is why you're listening. But the remedies have this beautiful quality. It helps you turn inside. It helps you get in touch with your soul, with your innermost desire, your innermost emotion, your innermost quality. And it helps you realize who you really are. And that is the beauty of it. And that's when those superficial layers start opening up one by one, the peeling effect, remember? And you learn something even more deeper. And that is when that discomfort, that disease can be eradicated. That is when that, the not so pleasant feeling can go away. And what is deeper inside, the true you, the true self, will come out. And that is what will bring you peace. Well, just something to think about. I don't know if I've gone on in circles, but like I said, it's one of the most beautiful books, and it gives you a lot of food for thought. So tell me, what do you think? Tell me if you would like me to read some more chapters of that book, because I think what I've touched is just the top bit. I would love to read more from this book. Tell me your thoughts. Excuse my little sample that just came and popping his head. He's sleeping on my lap. So yeah, give me your feedback. Tell me how it was. I would love to read some more from this very book. So if I get more thumbs up for this, if I get more suggestions, I will bring you the next chapter from Heal Thyself. Till then, tune in to YouTube, subscribe to my channel, and hold on for some more videos. Cheerio. And yes, stay home, stay safe.